Welcome to my shop here in Traverse City, Michigan. I want to show you the workings of an internal combustion engine. We need to cover vessel power plant, right? Small engines. And I'd like to show you the parts that you don't usually get to see. Let's take a look. Come with me. Now let's take a look. This is the center of the engine. Come on in close. Do you see all these holes? These are oil journals, and they lubricate the engine. Now, this is the heart of the engine. This sits right in the middle, and then this is, one sec. When you work on engines, you need gloves because this stuff is nasty and greasy. And so you really want to protect your hands. Took me a long time to learn that lesson, to protect your hands. I spent years and years and years with black fingers taking apart these same engines. So, okay, come back in. This is the heart center of the engine. You never get to see this. This is a drive shaft. This is the front. This is the back. This is a thrust bearing. So all these holes are oil journals, and they lubricate the engine. Now this engine block, or this crankshaft, sits in an engine block like this. This is the inside of the engine block. This block is unique. It's an ej25. It's a horizontally opposed Subaru engine, and it's two-part. So I can show you the inside really well. So this drive shaft, crankshaft, sits right in here, and it sits on bearings. See these? See these oil journals down here? These fill with oil, and it's pressurized, and it gets spurt through these holes right here. So now you have pressurized oil up against a super smooth surface, and it creates an excellent bearing. And I'll show you what the bearings look like. Here's what the bearings look like. See, they're just smooth. They have these oil, these holes, these journals, tang to tang. You just put them in here, and they snap in. Good. So that's a bearing. And now this is the other side of the engine block. This is the cylinder. This is where the piston goes, right in here. Now let's look at a piston. So here's the whole piston assembly, right? Here's the piston. It's got 3 sets of rings, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and then oil, which is actually a series of 3 rings. These are the magic part of the engine. Here's what they look like. Here's the first ring, second ring, and then you have the oil ring consists of 3 rings, right? It's 2 little rings with this weird one squished in between. So it ends up, it's like a series of 3 that sit in there like this. Those are the rings. And now this thing in here is called a wrist pin. Looks like this, right, when it's out. And it allows the piston to go back and forth. It goes up and down in these cylinders. It goes up, there's an explosion, down, up, exhaust out, down, explosion, down, exhaust. Okay, you get the picture. And this is a rod, and these are rod bearings. You ever hear people say, you spun a rod bearing? It means these twisted in here because something went wrong. So here's the rod, the connecting rod, and here's the bearing. See that? And the way that these bearings work is they snap right in, just like this. And then it goes around one of these, like this. So check this out. You see how there's an oil journal right here, a hole? Well, it's pressurized, and it pushes oil onto here, and it makes a great bearing. So they sit on here. This clamps on the bottom, and then you torque these down. Good, these nuts. And now this, as it spins, it goes up and down in these cylinders, and there's combustion. Let's take a look at the combustion chamber. Here, these are exhaust valves. They look like this. These are bent exhaust valves that I replaced. So this is what your valve looks like. You can see if you spin it, it's bent. So these are exhaust valves. These are for the air intake. Here's where the exhaust comes out, right? Exhaust manifold. Here is the air intake manifold. Now, the air and the gas come in here, and they get mixed in here, and this piston in its cylinder, it goes down, and it compresses the gas and the gas vapor and the air mixture, and the spark plug makes a spark, and boom, fires back. And then it comes in, and the exhaust goes out. And then it comes in, and boom, and fires back, and it's a 4-stroke. Okay, so that is the combustion chamber. And on the other side, the outside of that combustion chamber, here's the other side of these valves. So you got these valves over here. This is what they look like on the other side. Little snap rings keep them in place right here. And so this is a camshaft, and it's got these lobes. These lobes work in combination with the rocker arms here. And so what happens is this thing spins, and these lobes, you see it picking up the rockers because it's not in. They push down on these, and they open valves in certain sequences. There's actually another set of rockers that will go over here. And so as this turns, it goes up and down, and it opens valves and closes valves in the right order for combustion to happen. And then on top of this is just simply a cover that you get to see. But these are the internal workings of the engine you don't usually get to see, like the rocker arms and the valves and the valve springs and the retainer clips and the camshafts and the crankshafts and the wrist pins and the rings and the piston itself and the whole piston assembly, right? And the rod bearings. You don't usually get to see the rod bearings. Right? That's why I wanted to show you these, because it's a different bearing than a ball bearing. We're not used to seeing an oil bearing like this. So that's the bottom of the rod. And now I think that's about it. These are the internals of a combustion engine. I know this is a car engine. This is an ej25 Subaru engine. But it's the same principle as on a vessel. Most vessels are going to have a diesel engine. There's more compression. You know, it's a lot different. I'll give you that. But they have pistons and springs and valves and blocks and crankshafts and rods and bearings and pistons and rings. They have the same stuff. And I wanted to show you the inside of it for our vessel power plant section. And on another video, we'll get into even smaller power plant. Check this power plant. A 9.8 Nissan 2-stroke. And we'll look at routine maintenance on this, such as maintaining the carburetor, which should be done basically every year. We'll see on that video next. Before we go here, we got to give a shout out to William. He sent me this epic battery. It is so cool. I have multiple dead lead acid batteries. I actually have 4 of them. You can see them in these clips right here. 4 dead. Here's 2 of my dead lead acid batteries. They're not even that old, but they sit in the winter, don't get maintained, and then they're done. And that's that. We need some lithium-ion batteries in here. Here's 2 more dead batteries. from sailboats that sat all winter. That one's from Hershaw 54 steel schooner. And this one came with a boat that I just got, both dead. Lead acids. This one can't keep a charge for like a day. 4 dead lead acid batteries. Every winter, it seems like I need a new battery. This Epic battery has an 11-year warranty. And I know the state of the whole battery. Here, check this out. It's got a cool app. You go in, and I connect to the battery. It's here. And then I have a dashboard telling me the state of the battery. You can see each cell in the battery and any differences between the cells and the temperature. I can turn charging off. I can turn discharging off and on. It's very cool. There, discharge on. Now check this out. I created this super rudimentary setup of this sailboat that I'm redoing, right? I know it's not set up correctly. I got you. But this is a rudimentary setup of all the loads that'll be in the sailboat. Here's the other parts of the sailboat. See this? But I was missing one part. And that is an awesome lithium-ion battery that William over at Epic sent me. So I'm just going to hook it up real quick. Don't try this at home, kids. Cool, I turned the discharge on, so we should be good. Now we can start flipping switches. Yeah, Epic battery. Cool. Look at what else. 300 amp hours. Bluetooth, self-heating, low temperature disconnect. It's got it all. It's engineered in the US. So thank you, William, and Epic Batteries for sponsoring this video. It's appreciated.